Good morning, everyone. Like Karim said, my name is Igsaan Hugo. I'm a qualified plumber and a product trainer for Lixil Africa. And today I'd like to take you through some of the new product changes that we've had on the flush valves. But before we get to that, let's just go through some tips on continuing to prevent COVID-19. Always remember to wear your mask in public areas. Wash your hands with soap and alcohol-based hand sanitizer, and avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth with unwashed hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick, and remember to practice etiquette when sneezing and coughing by coughing into your elbow. Clean and disinfect frequently. Use surfaces and objects like your tools, etc. So let's just jump into this straight away. We're going to be talking about flush valves this morning and what the changes are that Cobra has made, the improved changes in actual fact. So in this slide, we've got two flush valves, standard flush valves, FM 2000s. And I've asked this question all over South Africa before. Can you tell the difference between them? But one is made in South Africa and one has been manufactured in our factory in Portugal. And there is absolutely zero difference. We've had it down to the last finest detail, manufactured exactly the same, except for the pistons and the top covers, and I'll take you through them shortly. So the features on the new standard flush valve, it's still made from DZR brass. It's got a new improved piston with a U-shaped seal. The top cover is now without the Teflon inner. It's got an improved striker. It has double bypasses, and the double bypass is only on the standard flush valve, and the spares are compatible with the existing flush valves that is already installed. And the incoming or the minimum inlet pressure is still at 30 kPa, and the maximum pressure that it can handle is still at 300 kPa. And what do I need when fitting a new piston in an old flush valve? You will have to obviously replace the piston if you're replacing the piston, but you'll need to replace the piston and the top cap. And thereafter, it will only be the requiredness of replacing a piston when you're doing maintenance on the standard flush valve. So the picture on the left of the screen is what the new piston looks like. It's a fully brass piston with a single U-shaped seal. And you can see at the little arrow beneath where I've got the bypass. The picture on the right-hand side, that is what the old piston used to look like, with a double gasket and a single bypass. As we know, sometimes those pistons would get stuck inside the top cap. And I genuinely believe that with the new piston, the improved piston will have less, we will have less of those happening where it gets stuck in the top cap, which means that on every flush, it will move up and down and sit off exactly the way it's supposed to happen. And with the extra bypass in there, you will have the top cap filling up a little quicker than what you would regularly have had. But you will also still have your 6.5 liters per flush as regular. So in the slide, we've got the new top cap on the left and the old top cap with the Teflon inner that will no longer be available. So then just to go back to the previous slide, that you will need to, if you are replacing a piston, you will need to replace the C-FM 8.30, the piston itself, and the top cap, which will be your C-FMC 1.2. Now the same would be done on the FJ 2000s and the FJ 6000s. In this slide, we've got the new piston on the left-hand side, where you've got your new integrated bypasses. So we've got 4 bypasses on the new piston. If you look at the piston on the right-hand side of the screen, which is the old piston, and that is a toilet piston over there. This piston, you needed to line that bypass directly in line with the push button in order for it to function correctly. Now, with the new improved piston, you can literally pop the piston into the flush valve, put your top cap on, and it doesn't really matter which direction the bypass is facing, you will have your flush regularly. The picture below in the right bottom corner, we've got the new top cap. You can clearly see that the new top cap is slightly taller than the old cap. And this is to make way for the new piston, because the new pistons head is slightly taller than the old one. We've also got a striker that is slight more brass into it. It's quite heavier than the old piston. And I would have loved to have shown you this demo in actual live, where you could have felt the differences between those pistons, and obviously still remaining the same. The piston with the diaphragm nut that looks like the four wings will still remain the piston for a toilet, and then you'll also have the bigger barrel that will be the urinal piston. And then we've got the minimum pressure on these flush valves will still remain the same. For a top entry, it will be 150 kPa minimum, and the maximum of 500 kPa. And then our back inlet will be 200 kPa, and the maximum will be 500 kPa on the back inlet. Here you can see in the top right-hand corner what the actual striker looks like. It's a little bit more brass. We've removed the plastic, and I've also included a picture where you can see the difference between the top cap or the heads of the new versus the old. So what's the features on the new flush valves? So we've still made from DZR brass. It still now has a DZR striker, new improved pistons with 4 bypasses in the diaphragm. In this picture in the top right-hand corner, you can see that there are 4 holes in the diaphragm. Those are your new bypasses. Remember the old bypass had that little silver ball inside it, and that was like a cleaning mechanism. And when you flush the toilet, it literally releases water from the top cap through the bypass and then fills it up again through that. So we have now, as you can clearly see in the picture middle, that you've got 4 bypasses on the new piston. So it's an improved striker that we've got as well. And then also your spares are compatible with the existing flush valves. So exactly the same as you'd have it with your standard flush valve. You will now need to replace the C-FJ 8.10 or the 11 with the top cap, which will be your C-FJC 1.2. And then thereafter, you will then just need to replace the piston. So if I can recap on some of these things, like I said, it wouldn't take much long to show you the new differences between the old and the new. So you need to say that again. Yeah. So in the picture on the left, you can see that we have the new piston for the junior flush valves and the new top cap. Those two has got to be fitted together when you are replacing on an existing flush valve. If you have got a brand new one and you need to replace the piston, it would obviously be still under warranty. But if it's out of warranty, then you only need to replace the piston itself. And then you can see in the picture on the right-hand side, what the new FM 8.30 looks like. In the little top section, you can see there's a spring to the top that is like a return spring. As it reaches the top, it pushes down and goes into a seated position. And then also you've got the new top cover. And in the center of the top cover, it's bored out there for your spring to make access inside the top cap. And in finishing off, some of our moments of truth. Our moments of truth are light bulb moments, when you have that aha moment. Some of them would be your Cobra Pure Shine, Cobra Eco Mine, our DZR Brass, Cobra Assist, and Cobra Genuine Parts. That's the end of my presentation this morning. If there's any questions, I'll take them now.
Thank you very much, Igsaan. I believe there are no questions from my side yet. And I also see we still have quite a bit of time. Is there anything you'd like to add before we end off?
Would you like to add something, Robbie?
Yeah, I think that one of the main messages we wanted to get across in our travels across the country, talking to the guys, was a question of why we closed the factory and where the product comes from. So really, we wanted to give you the assurance that we had to close the factory because effectively we couldn't run it efficiently with the kind of volumes we've got in South Africa relative to what Lixil can do in all the other factories around the world. So Lixil have got factories in a number of different places, probably 30 or so countries around the world. And what we had to do was find which Lixil factory could do which product group the best. So, for example, the mixers are now made by a grower in Germany. And in many cases, there will be improvements. They quite honestly had better facilities and equipment and resources and the kind of global volumes to do what we were doing. So for sure, a really sad thing to have closed our factories. But I think that the brand and our position in the markup and the support and the backup and the quality standards, those things we want to keep exactly the same. And, you know, as we just, another point was that in finding somebody to make each of these thousands of products we made, which resource could do it, we didn't get it all right straight away. So we, you know, I'm very aware as well that there were some supply chain issues, guys battling for stock. And then if a product, you know, if we find that the way we've done a new thing is not ideal, we'd go back and revisit. It doesn't mean to say we're going to be able to do everything exactly as we did before, but most certainly if the demand and the call is strong enough for that item, we would do it. And in going forward, our capability to develop new product around market needs is way, way better than it ever was at Cobra. Again, because of all the Lixil resources.
I think also the most important thing to remember is that it's a Lixil owned factory and not some random factory that we've chosen out of a certain part of the world. We own the factory. You will still have your full Cobra guarantee with it. You still have the assistance of Cobra Assist. And, you know, those are the important things that we want to share with our plumbers that make use of our products, because ultimately they are our customers, and we want to assure them that the product is still the same product that they've known all these years. Maybe there would be slight changes and differences in it, but so everything else changes over time. Nothing ever does stay the same. So together with that, we are here to support the plumbers and
yeah, and I think a direct communication with you guys is really important to us at this stage. So wherever we have an opportunity to train or talk directly to the plumbers, so we, you know, the regional IOP meetings, going to merchants and talking to the plumbers directly at their premises, because a merchant have invariably got a bunch of other things to worry about. You know, they might have their own ranges that they need to promote and so on. And so we would like to tell you our version of the story directly as we can. And at any point you want to contact us, or if you're uncertain about stuff, please do so. We really look to you guys to kind of help us over these changes. And thank you for your ongoing support. I think that's it from our side.
Thank you.